The fiesta is a revolution in whose confusion society is dissolved, drowned, insofar as it is an organism ruled according to certain laws and principles. Okay, so it's like small para completion. So you have a filler there, which you need to pick from the options, and then everything is united, good and evil, day and night, the sacred and the profane. Okay, it's just larger in context. Let's understand what is happening here. The fiesta is a revolution. What is a fiesta? Anybody? Just look for clue words. Maybe you don't understand the context. That can also be like, something that hampers. Fiesta means festival, right? Some celebration. So the fiesta is a revolution. Again, what's a revolution? Some sort of an uprising or, overthrow or a riot. So the fiesta is a revolution in whose confusion, so obviously we're talking about some sort of a festival celebration where there's a lot of, and it's almost like when they say revolution, you're talking about something that is an uprising. Lot of noise, in whose confusion society is dissolved, drowned insofar as it is an organism ruled according to certain laws and principles. So what is the context saying? The topic sentence is giving us an idea saying society is kind of ruled by certain laws and principles, is dissolved, drowned insofar. So it's almost like an organism ruled according to certain laws and principles. However, and then we have a context, and then it says everything is united, good and evil, day and night, sacred and the profane. So let's look at our options. Option 1. In a certain fiesta, the very notion of order disappears. Option 2. But it drowns in itself its original chaos and liberty. Option 3. It all occurs in an enchanted world. Option 4. Chaos, comeback and license rules. So let's understand what this is. Right? If we are saying, so now that we kind of have a fair idea of what's happening, so they're saying there's confusion, and I want you to pay attention to the chaos means confusion, as in nothing is in order. And your closing sentence is saying everything is united. So they're giving you examples of something good, something bad. There's day, there's night. It's almost like they are interrelated and they complement each other. If there is profane means something that is not sacred, right? You would be familiar with the word profanity, using bad language, foul language, and then there is something sacred, holy, religious, right? It's almost like, so these are all kind of contradicting each other, but they still exist together, right? They are interdependent. That's what it's saying. Everything is united. So basically, we need to look for a sentence that complements both the topic sentence and the closing sentence. Option 1, right? If you're saying it's option 1, it says in a certain, just because fiesta and fiesta is there, most of you have come back and chosen option 1. But what is option 1 saying? Option 1 is saying the very notion of order disappears. That's not what the context is saying, right? It is saying if the very notion of order disappears, then you can't have all of it existing together, right? They're saying in the chaos, there is still, because there is chaos, there is order. Are you following? Because there is chaos, there is order. Because there is evil, there is good. Because there is day, there is night. It's almost like they kind of contradict each other, but they still coexist. Notion means idea. So in that context, I can't use option 1. If the very notion of order disappears, right, then there only has to be chaos. But that's not what the closing sentence is saying. It's saying everything is united. So option 1 is actually ruled out. That's the first thing that you will rule out. Second, but it drowns in itself its original chaos and liberty. Now I'm paying attention to chaos, linking it to the topic sentence, confusion, right, and liberty. There is freedom in this, in the way it relates to each other. So quickly, let me put down my thoughts, right? So keeping in mind the context, I'm saying chaos, in chaos and confusion, there is still some sort of a freedom, which brings in some sort of a balance, right? So only because there is evil, people are able to distinguish and say, this is good. Likewise, day, night. So we need both. It balances out. Something sacred, something profane. So all of these, though they are contradictory, they come together and they unite together. So in this chaos and confusion, there is still freedom because it balances out each other. So the only option that kind of complements that is actually option 2. But before we finalize that, I want to quickly look at option 3 and option 4 also. See, the way I see it is, what they're trying to say is, if there is some feeling, in fact, so vomiting, just giving you an example. Vomiting is a very uneasy, yucky sensation. You don't want to go through it, right? But after you do that, there is so much of relief, right? You feel lighter, you feel fresh, you feel so much better actually. So basically what the context is trying to say also is the same thing. What the context is saying is, there is something that is not right, but through that chaos and confusion, you will still kind of find freedom if you allow it to go through, if you allow it to coexist. And the only thing that gives us that option is 2, but it drowns in itself its original chaos and liberty. Complementing the last sentence, it all occurs in an enchanted world, part 3. No, it doesn't occur in an enchanted world. What is the meaning of enchanted? Anybody? Fantasy, right? So it's not a fantasy. This is something, it's very, very reality. So option 3 is out. Most of you came back and said option 3. It does not occur in an enchanted world. This is what it is. We have good and evil. We have day and night. We have sacred and profane, contradicting each other, but they still coexist. And through that, we still experience freedom. So option 3 is out. Option 4, chaos, comeback and license rules is kind of not, for me, it's not syncing in with the given context. License rules, I really don't know. It's not complementing the closing sentence at least. And chaos come back from where? It's kind of awkward for me, option 4. So I'm going to go with option 2 as the answer. The fiesta is a revolution in whose confusion society is dissolved, drowned in so far as it is an organism ruled according to certain laws and principles, but it drowns in itself, which one? Society, its original chaos and liberty, and as a result of that, everything is united. Good and evil, day and night, the sacred and the profane. So option 2 is my answer. I'm going with option 2 based on the given context. Everything else is, answer is option 2.